Hello, hello, and welcome back to a very special episode of To Whom It May Concern. I'm your host, Malak, here with my co-hosts, Khuwaila, Inara, and Mariam.
Hey, assalamu alaikum.
Hi.
So we're so excited to share with you all that today is actually the 100th episode of To Whom It May Concern. 100 episodes is a lot of different topics and even a lot more minutes of us talking about them. So I think the idea had started when we got together, we had come up with this idea. I think we didn't expect it to go as far as it has. You know, like the experiences that we've had, the topics that we've discussed, the things that we've learned about each other, about podcasting, about the guests that we've had has really, really impacted our lives. And it's so exciting because it's not something that has just affected us, but to everyone that's been listening, right? You feel like a lot of times you do things on your own, but I feel like this is a journey that everyone has been on with us.
We have people that have listened to all 100 episodes.
I know.
Like they're our friends.
And even if you just scroll through our YouTube episode, you can even see the growth in the style of our episodes, the topics of our episodes, like, you know, with the photos and the thumbnails. And you can just see our progression also. And that was like really cool to me also, you know, to look back.
Yeah, even our comfort level. Like before, it would so hard for us to express ourselves. We'd always want to like re-say it 10 times before it came out in a way that we were okay with. And
I would get fun of. I used to do this therapist voice. I would just naturally, I'd be a little shy, so like my voice would soften up, and you guys would make fun of me for it.
I wonder if people noticed when they're listening. Inara's not doing her therapist voice anymore.
I don't know.
And we even had to transition from like podcasting, like microphones and everything, to have to podcast due to the pandemic from our homes via Zoom. We're always on camera. That was something we had to get used to. Also, it wasn't our intention originally, but I mean, you know, due to the circumstances, we were able, alhamdulillah, though, to like really quickly get it together and figure out something that worked for us.
Mm-hmm. And we met some really awesome people throughout the journey. I know you mentioned that, but we really, really did. People that inspired me, that I got to network with, that I didn't even think I would be able to meet them if I didn't have this, just because I wouldn't think about meeting them, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So this past week, we actually posted on our social media, on our Instagram. If you don't already follow us, you need to follow us at the Modern Skeps. We kind of just posted a blank text box and just asked everyone to ask us a few questions that they'd like us to answer. Unfortunately, we cannot answer all the questions because we are limited and we have a whole episode worth of activities and like games and stuff we want to play. But we will answer. I think we chose 5, right, that we're going to answer. So let's go with the first question. Somebody had asked us, what is it like behind the scenes?
Yelling and
mass chaos and hysteria.
We're fun behind the scenes, I'd say. It's mostly, we're all comfortable with each other. It's all joking. It does get stressful though at times, for sure.
Behind the scenes of each episode or behind the scenes of the whole Modern Skeptics? Because those are 2 different questions.
Yeah, let's just talk about like as a group, like generally our behind the scenes.
I remember our behind the scene when we used to meet in the studio together. I probably was the last person to come, and I remember we would do it early Sunday mornings. We'd do our recordings, and you guys would be knocked out on the couch, and we'd be so exhausted and tired because we just woke up on a Sunday morning. So I remember that, like behind the scenes, just trying to get up and wake up and like, you know, get the recording like in the earlier episodes.
I'm thinking of like our photo shoots or our activities.
Oh, those are fun.
They're fun, but I find them stressful.
Yeah, the prepping is, I feel like, always hectic. Or when we meet to list our long-time goals or like things for a month's worth of content, I feel like that's the most stressful. And our schedules are all so chaotic 99% of the time. Like it's very rare that we're all on the same schedule or on the same timeline. So sometimes we're recording at like 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Sometimes, like Inara said, it's early morning on a Sunday. So it's kind of hectic to get our schedules together. And then I mean, alhamdulillah, as we also grow older, we have like 35 more things going on in each person's life. And that just makes it more hectic. But I feel like once we're down to like the recording like this, once we're actually sitting and getting ready to speak about the episode, it's the most fun. Like we have the funnest time. At least I do.
I do. I have so much fun. I laugh so hard every single time.
I feel like I learned so much from you all, just hearing the different perspectives. I'm like, I never really thought about that. Or sometimes I'm like, yeah, I know I still disagree with you. Like,
you make me think more of what I believe.
Okay, so the second question we had was, what's the hardest thing about podcasting?
I think coming up with content that you don't want it to be repetitive. But a lot of things in this day and age are like focused on the same topics. So trying to like be different, but also stay relevant to the topics that are addressed today.
I think the social media part is also very difficult. It's hard
Eventually we'll get our social media game going.
Yeah, it's hard to like keep posting and stay on top of it while balancing everything else we're doing in our lives.
I agree. I think finding topics is always the hardest because, like Mariam said, it's a matter of finding something that we haven't spoken about and something that's really relevant that'll engage our audience, because also our audience is so random. Like we have males, females of all ages listening, and it's kind of difficult to find topics that everyone will listen to. And obviously you can't appease everyone every time, but that's definitely a challenge. And I'm with Khawaila, social media. I don't like it.
That's tough. Social media.
You guys already know what I think.
Behind the scenes
There's
conversation.
a lot of arguing about social media.
Yeah, not fun at all.
So the next question is more personal rather than podcast related, and it's actually, did the pandemic make it harder to keep friendships healthy and strong?
I think it made me focus on the relationships and friendships that should have been stronger, like family bonds, and it made those a lot stronger. I don't think it made any friendship weaker, other than the sense that I couldn't go out and hang out as much as I would have liked.
I don't hang out that often though. I'm more of a homebody in general, so I don't think the pandemic had much of an effect on my relationships, at least.
I'm like similar to Mariam. I feel like it strengthened more of the people that I was already close to. So like, my family time grew, spending more time with the family. But I think also because people were afraid of other individuals that you heard got sick. So I think checking up on each other also happened pretty often. Like, how are you feeling? How's your doing? Is everything okay? Can I do anything to support? So you also saw that sense of friendship. But I feel like the social media, I feel like there was another like type of friendship that started forming where a lot of people were moving to social media and kind of engaging a lot more with people through that. So there's also a shift in social, like moving those like virtual, like real conversations that you had with your friends over to social media, and then even meeting new people on those platforms as well.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I think I agree. I didn't lose any friendships due to the pandemic or anything. But it did require that you put a little more effort. Like instead of being able to meet up all the time, it did require you to have more conversation via like messages and whatnot. And I think it also helped you realize relationships that you wanted to put the time and effort into, right? Because sometimes you see some friends just when you hang out in a group or whatnot, and you wouldn't see each other during the pandemic. So if it was a person you weren't really that close to, I think it just made you realize like just the reality of that relationship also. But social media definitely skyrocketed also.
I think it also simplified a lot of things. Like I was like bike riding and I noticed so many more people were at the park. Like during the first summer with the pandemic. I'm like, it's not necessarily always about going out or going somewhere downtown or out to a restaurant, or because everything was shut down. It was just about like simple things like going for a walk, going for a bike ride to the park.
Also, how funny was it when you did meet up with the group like earlier in the pandemic or like during the summer, and everybody was just like distanced? Like I had a big group of friends that were graduating, and we just met at like the university parking lot, and we're just sitting in a circle like spread out. But it's just like being together and enjoying the time together, but still trying to be safe. So like that was a foreign concept. Obviously, that was really funny.
Yeah. And also kind of having Zoom meetings with friends, Netflix parties, doing like drive-through weddings.
Drive through everything.
Yeah. So it's like trying to stay connected with those people and not just letting those relationship goes and trying to keep what important events they would have had like still relevant.
Yeah.
So I think it's just supporting each other and friendships in different ways.
Yeah, definitely. Power to all those couples that got engaged or married during the pandemic, like graduates that couldn't walk the stage but still tried to celebrate. Like those were some really big events, like very big life milestones that obviously weren't celebrated as expected. But you make the best of the situation. So the next question is relevant to the last question. How can we make sure that relationships are not so toxic?
I think if they are toxic, do you want to continue that relationship? And I think that depends on what the individual means as to like who's being toxic. If it's someone you can't like distance yourself from, like if it's a family member, then that's a different question. But if it's somebody that's toxic, do you really want to put in the effort in making the relationship work?
It's also just realizing what toxicity is that even how you say that word toxicity is like in a friendship or in a relationship, just being recognizing of those signs so that you don't disillusion yourself or get taken advantage of. So just like step 1, know what it is. Step 2, either take the step to fix it or let it go if it isn't worth it.
So the question asked how to prevent toxic relationships. Is that?
Yeah. Well, how can we make sure relationships are not so toxic?
Yeah, I don't know is it something that you do to make sure it doesn't become toxic or it doesn't get toxic, or is it something where it's like it is, so you walk away from it?
Well, I don't think you realize it. You don't make an intention to be like, this is a toxic person, I'm going to be their friend. Like you don't know that until the friendship already happens.
But what I'm saying is it your actions that could prevent that from happening?
Oh, like is it something you're doing, like, or your friends doing that it's causing it to be toxic, like something that can be fixed, or is it just you just
prevent it from happening?
I don't think it depends. Like if this person's a manipulative person, you're not going to realize it till after you're being manipulated by them. I don't think there's really that many preventative measures you can take in this sort of thing.
I agree. And I don't think it's your actions that change. Your actions shouldn't create a manipulative person, or what I mean? Like it shouldn't create a toxic relationship unless you're the toxic person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
So kind of check yourself also.
More so check yourself, but also if you realize it, there's not much you can do other than walk away, I guess.
Yeah.
Or just address each red flag separately that they can fix.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you could fix the toxic relationship, I think.
Yeah. I would also advise that not to necessarily just see the problem or see a relationship that isn't going the way it used to be and just assume it's toxic also. Like sometimes people just have a lot going on, or there's something happening that you may not know the whole story about, and it may cause somebody to act a certain way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the whole relationship is toxic. I know obviously every situation is very subjective and everything is very different, but sometimes I feel like we're very consumed by the idea, that whole cancel culture idea, where if it's just not working, just break it off. It's not worth fixing. But I would take the whole story, I would confront it, and then go from there, depending on what the reasoning is.
Yeah. I wouldn't consider that as toxic though.
When I think of a toxic relationship, I think that it's harming you and your own mental health, and you need to get yourself away from that relationship. Like it's past these like conflict and like solving. Now it's literally affecting where it's more clinical, and I need to get away. It's not your typical like problem solving or issues that come up in a relationship. These are like abusive, you know what I mean? Like there's conflict in, like, let's say regular relationships, let's say in a marriage, there's conflicts that do happen, but then there's abuse. And I feel like when you say toxic, it's like that abusive thing that's happening in the friendship or whatever the relationship is.
Yeah, I don't consider it a misunderstanding.
No, I don't think it's a misunderstanding either, but I just feel like sometimes people have things going on in their life and they unleash that emotional baggage onto their friend. And sometimes like you as a friend, you're affected by it. You're always not in the best mood. Like that person's maybe not the funnest to hang out with at that time. But it doesn't necessarily mean that just because it doesn't put you like all happy and giggles and stuff that it's toxic. That was my point. But I definitely see the abuse regardless of which way. And if it's affecting you to that extent, then yeah, you do need to cut it off. But sometimes you just hear these stories and then it's kind of like, okay, well, did you give the person the benefit of the doubt? Or did you hear like what's going on in their head, how they're feeling mentally, emotionally before you decided that this just wasn't going to work for you?
No, I agree with that. I would only just put the caveat of they can be sad and they can have emotional baggage and they can be going through something, but that doesn't give them a right or permission to then like disperse that anger and toxicity onto you. Like, for example, they have a really hard time at work, so they're going to come and be emotionally abusive to you in some way. Like, oh, you're dumb. I don't know. You're not doing anything right. I'm so much smarter than you, whatever. Saying those types of things that are emotionally abusive, like that, maybe you can understand why they're doing it, but that doesn't make it okay.
I mean, there's also the other end of the spectrum where it's not necessarily they're outwardly toxic in that sense, but let's say they behind the scenes or within themselves don't have the best intentions for you.
Oh, you should definitely cut anybody out without like I feel like if you even have an inkling that people have bad intentions toward you ever, that's something like that's no doubt about it, you should cut that off, because those type of people have ill feelings, like very strong ill feelings. That's like envy and stuff, and that's just not about it.
Cut it out. Get rid of it.
I agree.
Okay, so the last question is kind of a lighthearted, fun question. Somebody asked, do you prefer karak shay or kahwa arabi?
I love how we picked such a random array of questions. Yeah. Like hard. Do you prefer tea or coffee?
Hold on, kahwa arabi?
Yeah, or karak shay.
So I had to Google what karak shay is. And it's basically just shay with milk, which I've gotten very much into the past couple weeks.
But from all my experiences with it, it's not just milk with tea. It's like a flavored tea. Like it doesn't just taste like shay nana with like evaporated milk. It tastes like, it has like a
medicinal taste. It tastes
like it has like my grandpa drinks it. Like it has like a taste
I have
to
to taste it. But
my grandpa also drinks Arabi shay or Arabi kahwa, sorry. So either one I'm not a fan of.
Yeah. I hate kahwa arabi. It's definitely going to be the shay.
It's so strong.
Yeah, I don't drink Arabic coffee, but I've never tried the karak shay, so I have yet to try it. But I do like my Starbucks drink recently. One of the drinks I like is a chai latte. I don't know if that makes a difference. You finish my drink, and you all know that I usually don't finish my Starbucks drink.
I don't like either. I think they both have a very strong taste. But I should also probably mention that I'm not even an avid coffee drinker. Like I don't even drink black American coffee. So Arabic coffee is just too strong for me.
My coffee is the fake kind of coffee with like lattes with creamer and sugar and
blonde rose.
Can you add creamer to Arabic coffee? I've never seen it done before.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing.
You got to be original with it and have it straight up black.
I know you can get flavored kahwa arabi, but I've never seen people add like cream or anything to it. But I don't know if you can. Maybe some people do. I don't know.
Try something new. Put a caramel macchiato creamer with your kahwa arabi.
It's just so strong.
But there's different types. There's like ahwa sada. What is it called?
There's like dada. Kahwa arabi. Then there's like the Saudi kind. I don't know.
I'm just gonna say neither.
No, shit.
Me too. Neither.
You have to pick one.
No, not shay, okay, but not karak shay. The ones I've tasted aren't good. So I don't like that either.
One or the other, you guys pick.
Khwala, did you write the question? Why?
Fine, I'm gonna pick the Arabic coffee. Arabic coffee.
I will too, to stick to my roots.
No, just because I've actually distinctly remember tasting it before. So.
I feel like I might like karak shay, so I might go with that one. I never tried it.
She never tried it. She just feels like she would like it more than.
Okay. I feel that too.
I don't agree with your logic, but next topic.
Well, I like shy like lattes. It has a similar flavor.
And I've tasted the warabi and it's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But actually, PSA, I don't know where else they have Phil's. I think they may else, I don't know, like Phil's locations. But the Phil's in downtown Chicago is actually owned by a Palestinian. So if you're looking
Phil's
for good
Coffee.
coffee to try, yeah, Phil's Coffee in Chicago. So it'd be really cool to go out support
They
our Arab community, you know.
they actually originally opened in California and then they brought it out here. But he's in like the original owner of it.
Owner.
Oh, really? So he owns the one in California also?
Yeah. Phil's
Oh,
Coffee,
okay.
like the Arabi guy, he's like a Christian. He his name is Phil. Like
Okay.
Accurate.
So those are the questions that we've decided to answer. And the next thing on our agenda is a little walk down memory lane, right? So just kind of look back at all the episodes we've recorded, some of our favorites, some of our not so favorites, some of the highlights, and then some of the tips and advice that we've had from guests that have really stuck to us or resonated the most with us.
It's kind of crazy to see that we're going to scroll back to 2019. This is when it all started.
Honestly, it doesn't feel like that long.
2019 doesn't sound that long ago either.
It doesn't sound that long ago because it's only 2 years ago, but in terms of all the weeks and all the time we've spent on this podcast, it's been a long time. It really has been a long time.
I mean, I remember the meetings that we had before trying to figure out the jingle. Those are fun. That was fun.
Oh, that was a fun meeting.
Yes.
Huayla was heavily invested in the jingle creation. You like the jingle. That is Huayla's work. That was her baby.
Yeah.
We did that at my house. I think we like concocted it here. But how about the meetings to come up with the name? That took forever.
Multiple meetings to come up with the name. At the end of the day, we just had to do it by democracy vote. Like we were like, not everybody's gonna be happy with it.
Yeah.
Vote.
I think it's like the whole to whom it may concern theme. And then after we said that, we're like, oh, let's make it seem as if we are like writing a letter. And then we're like, oh, what's our name? So the Modern Skeptics was the hard part to come up with.
Yeah.
But then we thought of the whole thing with the PSs at the end, and which I still like.
Yeah, that was really exhausting, I think. Like we really had a rough time coming up with that because we also wanted something that would stick through the times, right? Like we wanted something that is relevant and timeless at the same time. Yeah. So I think we did a pretty good job with that though. I have to say it's pretty impressive. We incorporated the typewriter. That was clever. So, we played around with it.
And I also feel like a lot of people do ask, oh, skeptic is a bad thing or it has a negative connotation. But we discussed this too in the beginning. And I'm like, no, we have to take back the word. People who didn't like being questioned about things created the term skeptical as a negative thing, just so they didn't have to answer to other people for what they did. So they go, oh, why are you so skeptical? As in why do you have questions? No, asking questions is fine. Nothing's wrong with asking questions. So we wanted to take back the word, ask questions about why we're represented this way.
Definitely. I think, you're right. Though we did think skeptic might come off with a negative connotation, but our intention is just that we take different topics and we question them. We challenge them. We come up with different perspectives, put our own little modern spin to it and produce some content. But do you guys remember that our first few episodes were actually recorded very differently than even our studio and our Zoom episodes now? We had this was our first time recording. We weren't too sure how it's done. We weren't familiar with all the editing. Mariam wasn't the editing whiz that she is today. Oh. And we actually went to, paid for studio time, and we actually went downtown to a studio.
My wallet remembers those experiences. It was so expensive to record in a real studio. Yeah. Which is why we had to figure out a way to be self-reliant in the podcasting sphere. We're like, no way, all these people that podcast do it in the studio. Podcasters need to be rich then.
Yeah.
But it was so cool for us because it was our first experience podcasting, and we were like in an actual studio. We were in a recording booth. Like everything was set up. We had people edit the episode for us. Like it was a really interesting experience.
It was a really, really fun experience.
Yes.
And then we tried to record like a trailer or whatever, and we were all running down this small hallway that was so narrow. And they were just watching us like we were so lame because we just kept running back and forth and back and forth.
I forgot about that. We never did anything with that footage.
Well, yeah, we did not release that. Nobody needs to see.
We will never release that ever.
I remember I was wearing heels, and because I had to sprint down the corridor, I tripped. It wasn't good.
Oh, Maria.
It was fun though.
It was fun. We're so excited.
And then what we did was we found the supplies online. We did our own thing. And alhamdulillah, we were able to produce though a lot of different episodes with our own recording studio. We soundproofed the room. We were able to set up a table, set up our mic, get it professionally done. I think it sounds even better now because Medium edits. But whatever, it's a little biased.
Honestly, it's so fun going through that whole journey. Like when we had a meeting, we're like, how do we even find soundproof stuff? Where do we have to go? Or when we met with other people that were like audio producers and they gave us hint and tricks, and like we had a DJ come in and set up our like
mixer.
What is it even called? I don't even know what it's called. I don't know what it's called.
A mixer.
Yeah. Set up our mixer for us, and then we never touched it afterwards.
No, we used it for a while, and then right before COVID hit, it was giving us issues. So we're like, okay, might as well use Zoom.
That's another thing that was happening behind the scenes. We had a lot of technical issues we started experiencing with like the mixer and then it pausing and we record. So our episodes would take like 2 hours. They would take a lot longer to record.
I remember then I would drive to like various places to find the soundproofing material. Like we couldn't find the amount we needed, and it was an experience.
It was so funny. Every time a dog would bark in the background, we're like, pause, dog, pause, laundry machine, pause, the air conditioner's way too loud right now.
Yeah.
So many experiences.
Neighbors mowing the lawn.
It does pick up on a lot of that background noise for sure.
So our first episode that we recorded was the Millennial Plague. And I remember the Millennial Plague that we were referring to was social media. And at that time, I think I shared that I wasn't really for social media and I was kind of like against it. And I talked out of ignorance in that episode because now I'm on social media. I created my own Instagram account. Like I became more involved and engaged because of Modern Skeptics. And I see the benefits of it. And I can see why some people get offended when you don't like, when you do like, or why people don't follow you. Like I understand that stuff now, but before I was like, who cares? This, that. But I understand the politics of social media.
Wait, Inada's like, I guess I was kind of against it. You were dead against social media. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I know I was dead against it. I think I was against it, but not like dead against it.
Really? So
Yeah.
you say you like social media now?
I wouldn't say I completely love it, but yeah, I like it. I'm connecting with people, and it's like another world. And I think it just depends on how you use it and what you make it look like. It could be toxic depending on how you make of it. But I personally love connecting with other podcasters or reaching out or seeing what other businesses are coming up. And like,
I'm pretty sure at the end of that episode, we all had like the consensus that it was a necessary evil that existed.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Huela still hates it.
I still hate it. Here's the thing, like, yeah, sure, I guess connecting with people is one of the benefits I would say it has. But like what you said, she didn't like, he didn't like, he's not following, she's not following. I think that is so toxic. And that's like, you become obsessed over, like, even when we look at our social media and like, how many followers do we have now? How many likes do we have on this? Like, I don't like that type of mindset.
It's consuming. Like, it can be consumed.
No one didn't unfollow us. It's just that they deactivated. So their number went down. That's what I tell her.
Yeah. I don't like that is a main focus on social media.
It's more the engagement you get, though.
And
it's
I do
not like
also think-
necessarily like dislike. It's are people being engaged with what you are doing.
It's not necessarily for our podcast as well. Other like for personal accounts, I feel like a lot of people just use it for comparing, or they don't use it for comparing. They naturally start to compare when they're looking at other people.
Yeah.
I mean, I have social media because like I like to be up to date and see what's going on and whatnot. I personally, though, am not the person to be posting on social media. Like I think the last time I posted on Instagram was a year ago, and I don't post stories. Like I hate my face being all over social media, but I like having social media. And it's actually crazy because when you don't have social media, it's not affecting just personal life anymore. Like it affects you professionally, it affects you kind of academically. Like now that I'm in school again, now that I was in the master's program, I had to make a Facebook chat to like link up with my classmates. We had to make a group meet to discuss. Like it's like if you don't have social media, you're also missing out on a lot.
Yeah, you're like hindered.
Which has definitely skyrocketed since we've recorded Millennial Play. We thought social media was dead.
Wait, you guys, since we recorded, TikTok has come out as the new outstanding social media platform. Okay, Clubhouse just came out, but like TikTok is the reigning champion now on social media.
Also, there's like an app now called Omegle or something where you could video room chat with like celebrities. It's so random.
Wait, what's
But we thought
Clubhouse is like, it's a whole thing, Quayla. You're gonna have to just search it up after this.
It's a productive form of social media. Well, I guess it depends on how you use it. So the way it works is that you join a bunch of different like clubs that you're interested in. So there's I'm in a Muslim one, there's a social worker one, and they have different topics and like different timings. And you can join these rooms and engage with like people who are experts in the field, people who are the ones moderating it. And so you have discussions and learn from different people. And it's all audio based. So it's just your picture and it's audio. There's no typing, there's no like messaging. It's literally just you verbally, like you raise your hand and they could unmute you and like you could share your question or share your experience and whatnot. So it's really cool and I find it very beneficial. I did accidentally join a wrong room the other day and I was like, I need to get out of this room. Can I share? I'm going to share what it was. It was really funny. So sometimes you get suggestions based off of the people that you follow. So there's some people that I follow that joined this room called Shoot Your Shot, kosher, and then it had the Israeli flag. And so I thought it was a debate on like Palestine and like Israel. I thought it was going to be like, a heated discussion on it. Right. So I saw like there was like 300 people in this room, a lot of like Muslims. So I joined this Shoot Your Shot room on Clubhouse. And it was Shoot Your Shot, meaning like you shoot your shot at somebody telling them to hook up with you. It was
like pickup lines and stuff.
Huh?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you know that?
I don't know. I think I'm kind of like naive. I don't know. I was like, oh, like shoot your shot, like debate, like hot topic, fire. I don't know the thing is, the people that I follow, like these were people who are married and stuff, and they're Muslim. So I'm like, oh, this should be an interesting conversation. Like these
were in the room?
Yeah, you joined the room. And I think people are just curious to know like how it happens. And I think Palestinians probably went into the room to be like, Palestine exists. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But it wasn't a debate. It was more for like Jewish people connecting with other Jewish people. So you shoot your shot. And it was kind of entertaining to watch, but I was like, this is really awkward.
Israeli people connecting with Israeli people, not the same as
no, and Jewish people as well. No, there was.
Yes, but I'm making the distinction because of the topic name.
Oh. Yeah, it was entertaining to watch, but I was like, oh my God, I have to leave because they literally could be like, Inada, I'm going to shoot your shot. And then they like pitch to you and then you say yes or no if you're interested. And I was having a heart attack. I was like, what is this? And I was like, I think people just, there was a lot of Muslims on there and like people who are married and I think they're just there for the entertainment. But it was pretty funny.
It's funny because we thought social media was a problem when we recorded Millennial Plague almost 2 years ago. And post-pandemic, social media has skyrocketed like no other. So the topic is obviously still very relevant to our lives and like, how we go about doing things. But while I was scrolling through the episodes, it was funny because we had released an episode in November of 2019 called Health is Wealth. And then the pandemic happens in like March. So like, how did that? Or even we started hearing about it in different countries, like December, January, and obviously we didn't know what was going on. But that's how you know modern skeptics are always on top of things, because we knew.
We had a gut instinct.
Yeah, and then the pandemic happens.
I don't know.
One of the episodes we recorded was head or heart.
Mm.
And that's trying to see if you think of more with your head or your heart. And I feel like I chose head, but I'm not 100% convinced about that anymore.
What?
I feel like a lot of times it's also your intuitions and just your gut feeling. I've noticed that.
That's so funny that Joella mentioned that, because back when we had the segment idea of doing Does Your Opinion Still Stand? I literally went to the episode and I wrote down what everybody said at the time. And I wanted to see like, oh, are we still feeling the same way? Because I said head, Joella said head, and you guys both said heart. And then like, yeah, do you guys still feel like you make decisions based on your heart over your brain or your head?
It has to be both in general.
No, it's more like both get you to a certain point, and then one will be the deciding factor.
I still think it's my heart. I think my heart doesn't give my brain a choice. It is what it is.
How about you, Vinata?
Yeah, I think I'm still heart. I think my intuition will still be. You think I'm more?
I think you think a lot more.
I do think, but I feel like my thinking is still feely. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it's still based off of my intuition. Like I feel like sometimes talking to you all, you're like, that's not logical, or that doesn't make sense, or I don't know. I just still see my emotions taking the lead on how I feel to make final decisions.
Yeah, if my heart's not interested, I can't even pretend to do the things. Like it can make 100% logical sense for me to do them. But if I'm not interested in doing them, I just will not. Like, I know it's more logical to study in a library, but put me in a library for more than like 15 minutes to study and I'll feel like I'm going to suffocate and die and I got to get out of there.
That was you earlier.
I feel like I still make logic. I think it depends on the situation though, but I think I'm typically more logical than emotional when I make decisions. Like I like to think it. I may not always feel like it's always the right decision. Like it may not put me in the best position, but if I feel like it makes more sense, then I'll still go with it just because I think that means for me, if it makes more sense, then the outcome will make the most sense also.
That was a fun episode to record.
I kind of want to do a new version of it. Like I want to do one. I think we're going to. I think
God is making a promise here and now.
I love personality and I think those are such fun episodes. And I think we should do another personality test and discuss it and cheer out.
Oh my god!
Okay.
If it's up to Inata, every episode will be
the other day, I saw Joella and we were literally talking about the test you guys make us take, like the personality test. And we literally specifically mentioned that test. And that's so funny that you want to do it again, honestly.
We're like, they just always keep taking this test. I don't even remember my letters. You guys remember them.
Yeah.
Why does letters change every time? You don't even know your letters because they change.
ISFJ, ISTJ, Medak is ISFJ, Mariam's an ENFP.
Look at
so fun.
That's not fun.
It's so fun.
A, B, C, D, F, N, O, P.
Seriously.
Another episode that I liked was Taboo Timeline. I feel like that's still so relevant and it's something a lot of people experience. And it was an interesting and I think at the time people were not really talking about it. But I feel like now people have been referencing this timeline that exists and why does society put us through these pressures? So I feel like we were ahead of our time in discussing that and really bringing it out there, because nowadays you hear people complain and it's why do we follow this certain model that we all need to achieve and accomplish? And I thought that was a very interesting conversation.
That was a good one. I loved Generation Gap. because we had all our parents there, and it was just so funny and just fun to record with them and to have them experience kind of like the podcast setup and them saying, wait, let me say that again, or just take that out, take that out. It was so cute. It was so much fun to record with them. And I hope we could do a generation gap part 2.
Yeah, they were cute. They just like look at each other and look at us like, oh, can I talk now?
They raised their hand. They're like, okay, my turn.
And then I got to a point, it's like, okay, stop talking.
So our parents were among some of the OG guests, I would say. Like they're some of the first that we had come onto the podcast. But we've come a long way when it comes to guests. Also, we've had a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds for a lot of different topics come on and share their experiences. And let's hear like 2 or 3 of the best advice or tips you think we've received, or something that's really resonated with you guys from the guests that we've had come on to our show.
I think just instantly the one that will always stay with me, because after we recorded that episode, I sat down for a long time and just kind of contemplated what we were doing and like the words that person said. And it was Arusa's episode. And she said this one thing that really stood out to me was, we have this illusion of control over our lives and we make these plans as if they're for sure things, but that's not the case. And there's like, if something does go wrong, just kind of focusing on what is really important in life and what does matter.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways I've ever had.
Yeah,
That's a really good one. Seriously, that like does hit home, I think. For me, one of the ones that stood out to me, I think it's because also the time like that I was in my personal life when we recorded this guest was with Tahira Rahman.
Oh, that was
how she was, yeah, she was also a really great guest. And she was speaking to us about her experience of becoming the first hijabi Muslim woman to be aired on TV as an anchor. And she was telling us about all the times that she had failed, or like not failed, but she got rejected, or she didn't get where she wanted to be. She was applying and she just kept trying and trying and trying. And her mom was in her corner and just kind of like continuing to motivate her. And for me, I mean, I could totally resonate with her at the time, you know, just when you have your mind on something and it doesn't go as planned. So you're constantly thinking, oh, is it worth it to keep trying? Is this what's meant for me? Maybe this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's way of telling me that I need to pick a different path or whatnot. So I think that's something that I definitely appreciated hearing from somebody else that's from a different walk of life, right? Because you always hear from those around you like, oh, keep it up, keep trying, stuff like that. But when it's actually people that are on different journeys and they come back with the same messages, it just kind of hits home also.
I guess similar to that, Malak, I'm reminded of Muhammad Ramadan's episode, and his was more like, never give up hope on individuals or people, because he was the type of student that could care less and was known to not do well in school, and you know, didn't seem like an individual that would be successful in life. But subhanAllah, you just never know what might inspire someone to transform and then to keep going and then to fight. So now he's one of the most hardworking lawyers out there, who's known to be like, who made Forbes 30 or under 30. And so like for me, hearing his story and just being like, who cares if you fail, like don't ever give up on yourself and keep going strong. And then as individuals, don't ever look down on anybody. You don't know what it might be that might inspire that person to go. So never judge anybody or belittle, and anybody could change and anybody could transform and really make it up there. So I thought his was really inspirational as well.
Way back in the beginning, we had Aziz and Nasir.
Oh,
And I thought it was so, why'd you say, oh?
Because that episode always just hits me in like the heart. I love that episode.
Yeah.
So when you said it, I'm like, oh, Khalila's gonna take mine.
No, it's not take yours and not, but what I really appreciated most about that is just really hearing from another person's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's like something like, sure, you hear a lot about, let's say, someone from a different background or a different race, different religion, but you never really hear people from the disabled community speak. Mm-hmm. And so just hearing it from her perspective on how she's advocating for the disabled, it was nice to see her perspective.
Yeah. I also loved in this, like that episode was actually educating me. As I was speaking to her, I felt like I was gaining valuable knowledge that I can take for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I love talking about the guests we had. We had such really awesome people on the show, and I'm appreciative of everybody that came on. The 2 Ramadan prep episodes that we've done with Lina Talib and Sheikh Tariq, I really love those episodes and kind of introspecting on what religion is and getting ready for Ramadan. Those episodes just give me such like nostalgic, happy feels.
Yeah.
Ramadan episodes in general are sometimes my favorite episodes. Like even the ones we do amongst ourselves, but just putting you in that spiritual like happiness, you know, like reflecting on the beauty of the what the religion is and how much attention we don't give it when we actually give it the attention that it needs or it deserves. It's of course you learn like amazing lessons. But another one I want to mention is also our episode with Muhammad Ramadan. He was a super down-to-earth guy. Definitely different than I expected a lawyer to be, honestly. No offense, Mariam, but I'm just saying. But something else that I really, really appreciated about his episode was his individuality. His constant message of just being incredibly proud of who you are and never shying away from something because of who you are, right? So it doesn't matter what journey you're pursuing in life. It doesn't matter what career path, what education. Never feel like you have to hide your true self to fit in with what that norm is. You know, like be proud of who you are, wear it proudly, do your own thing, put your own twist on it, and you won't believe the difference that you'll make. And the difference that he's making in the Arab community just by being that way and, you know, helping out others in the community. It's really impactful and it was really nice to hear.
Yeah. There was also the recent episode that we just did with Samar Sha'ban about just being confident in breaking to a field that you aren't necessarily accepted in, but being yourself in that field. So that kind of worked in tandem with yours, Malak. Where it's just like, don't be afraid to break into fields, even though if they don't accept you, you can strive and be successful in those fields.
Mm-hmm.
Also, remember in the beginning of the pandemic, we talked about schools and how they were faring, and we talked to Miss Murad and kind of the shift in the education system with Corona. I like that episode too. I just feel like I have to give a nod to that because I learned the difficulties. We thought it was so easy. We're like, just have them in school. And it's like, no, it's this huge process. We have a lot of responsibility. So
I feel sorry. Kids will never be able to have a snow day anymore because of now how adaptable all these schools are.
We should have just asked the question. I don't think we asked her this question about how do kids get in trouble?
On Zoom? Maybe
like you get detention. Like, how are you going to get detention? How are you going to get suspension?
Maybe this will just start revolutionizing the type of, I guess, punishment. Maybe they won't do punishment. They'll do positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I don't like punishment systems. I feel like it's about time schools adopt a different method.
Okay, but still, I'm just curious as to what they're doing now.
Yeah, like
principal's office.
I think they're
on the camera right now.
I think they're a lot less worried with punishments right now, and more like just these kids passing. Like, I don't think they're concerned with detention.
True.
Even when we had Tariq Khalil, I really enjoyed his episode. It was very insightful on Palestine and why we should be politically active. I feel like every time we hear about Palestine, it's like, okay, what do I need to do? How do I, make a difference? And what can I do when being in the US and having like the upper hand and trying to make a difference? So his was very good too.
A lot of valuable information on that one. And not only did he just give us a lot of information, he pointed us in the right direction to get other valuable information. I still have his list of books that he suggested that I have to get around to.
I think that pretty much covers every guest that we've had on the Modern Skeps.
Because they so good.
Yeah, they truly are all so special, so near and dear to our hearts, I think also because not only are they incredible people and not only are they people that inspire us, but they took the time and the effort to come onto a podcast that's breaking our own barriers because God knows we face a lot of different obstacles ourselves. And just being able to bring their presence to our podcast, being able to see 4 girls that are trying to build something big and just be like, yes, I'm for it. I support you guys. And I'm going to come on and share my experiences honestly means the world to us. It means more than all the credentials you can have and the topics that you bring to us. Just your presence alone is very, very special to us. I think the ladies can agree with me when I say that. But thank you so, so much for coming this far with us as we release this 100th episode. I think we're so, so, so excited. Alhamdulillah, we're so happy with the progress that we've made up until this point. And we're so excited to see everything that we have, everything that we come with, everything that we produce in the next 100 episodes. And I do want to emphasize that if you don't already follow us on social media, you must follow us on social media, because March is actually the birth month of the Modern Skeptics, and we have some really, really big things coming out in March. We have giveaways, we have games, we have videos, and of course, we have more incredible guests. So if you don't already follow us, you need to follow us to be up to date, to join the giveaway and the games. If at any point you like what you heard in this video, give this video a big thumbs up. Show your support, subscribe to our channel, and as always, thank you again for tuning in to yet another episode of To Whom It May Concern. Sincerely, the Modern Skeptics. P.S. Happy 100th, Modern Skeptics.